it's nice to hear somebody say that.
So, Matthew, how do you think you're going to cope with all this?
I think I've got to sit down and to spend some time thinking and to actually work out what tasks should I be doing, what tasks should I perhaps be delegating or doing in a different way. I need to spend some time with my middle managers and talk to them, perhaps be brave enough to say to them, OK, how do you think I work? What improvements could I make? And I think I need to not be so guilt-ridden or afraid of actually moving tasks into their remit, because it's not me unable to do my work, it's me concentrating on actually doing the more important stuff and also giving them opportunities to grow and develop.
Well, Matthew, thanks for a great day. It's really been an experience. And the next time I come back, I want to see a Matthew who says no and delegates a bit more.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So, as we leave Matthew to catch up with his work, hopefully for the last time, let's take the opportunity to see how another teacher from last year's series of Ease the Load is doing.
Well, you might remember Tony Curtis from last year. He was the lovely classroom assistant who just was running around left, right and centre, never had any time for his family, and he felt pretty bad about that. Well, let's watch and see what it was like for him then.
Tony Curtis from King Edmund Community School in Bristol couldn't find time to take breaks due to the heavy workload he created for himself. This often left him exhausted and unable to find quality time to spend with his family. So we sent in Gladina to give his time management the once-over.
When we were talking earlier, one of the things that you were saying was you really wanted to create time so that you would get a lunch break and also minimise the amount of time that you're doing work outside of school. So I'm going to set you this challenge. I want you for 3 days, and pick any 3 days you like, I want you to take all your breaks for 3 days every week.
Gladina also suggested he set up a system to manage his work, so he created a database. However, there seemed to be some confusion when it came to the second part of his task.
3 breaks a week?
3 breaks a week.
I think we might have a little bit of a misunderstanding. It was 3 days of full breaks.
Was it?
Yes.
I thought it was 3 breaks.
So do you think that's given you the confidence to maybe now, be able to go back and think, well, I can double that?
Yes, that would be the next challenge.
Well, here I am a year on at King Edmund's to see Tony Curtis. Now, it sounds like break time to me, so let's go see whether he's taking his breaks or not. Has he gone back to his old ways? So, Tony, it really is nice to see you after all this time. But the one thing I'm really, really intrigued about, because we talked about a lot last year, including your misunderstanding about breaks. Are you getting your breaks in?
Yeah, a lot more than I used to.
Uh-huh.
And those I'm not getting, I'm choosing not to take, so that's the main difference, I think.
Obviously, there will be times you choose not to, but as long as you're getting those breaks in, because you didn't think you could do it before, did you?
No, I mean, last year was manic with pressure and work and stuff, but the 2 things you came up with the database and the just take the breaks, And at the time, I thought the database was the best idea. Organise my work, make it structured, eliminate waste time. But going through the year, that's kind of like taking the back seat, and it's kind of the change of the mindset. Okay, well, no, I'm going to take my break.
It's your commitment to yourself.
It is, yeah.
But you see, that's an interesting point, because the database was only actually a tool to get you to realise that you could do it. Okay, because you weren't going to do it. You were like, no, I can't. So we had to come up with something. Now, the database was probably useful for a short while, but once you got your head into the right space, it was a case of, well, actually, I'll just take it.
It was, yeah. It was exactly that.
So if there's anything that you've learnt, what is it?
I guess the main thing I learned was, if you're going to run yourself into the ground, then you're not doing anyone any favours, and your work's going to suffer as well as home life. If you need to take breaks, then take them. So,
in terms of where you are now, are there any things at the moment that you would say that, sort of all that's kind of helped, but maybe there are some things that, are still a bit of a challenge for you?
No, I don't think so. Some of the things that were maybe last year will follow along the same sort of mindset. If you say you can't do it, then you can't. you say you can and you will.
Do you know, I'm smiling because that is so the core of all this. You know, there's an old saying, and that is if you can talk yourself into something, you can talk yourself out of it. And that's exactly what you're talking about, which is once you've got the mindset of taking control, actually, you can turn your mind to anything. And that doesn't mean it's easy. And it doesn't mean you always have great choices. Sometimes there's a choice between two not so good things. But you still have a choice. But, you know, I'm just smiling because that is so true. You know, if you think you can do it, you'll make it happen.
That's right, yeah. That's what I found.
Well, this is the start of my video diary. Gladina's gone. She's left me with a lot to think about. All sorts of ways of reflecting on my role. Some of it's quite tough to think about whether it should be me that's actually doing stuff. I think saying no could be the biggest challenge, but we'll see how we get on. Right, I've met with my team, told them that I'm going to be looking at ways of delegating down to them, and asked them for their input on jobs that I can share with them. It was an interesting meeting because actually quite a lot of them were desperate to get their hands on some of the responsibility that I've had, and it turns out that I've been a bit of a block in the decision-making process at school. So we'll see how it goes. I've agreed with them some things that they will now be doing, and yeah, should be alright. Well, I've just got back from the school's presentation evening. It's quite late at night, but it's been a really good evening. We planned it all in advance. I cleared my in-tray of everything except the stuff for presentation evening. I'm really pleased. I think all the pupils who were there were pleased. And it's gone really, really well. Everyone who was there said that it was a fantastically well-planned event. So, job well done. Can have a cup of coffee now and go to sleep.
So it's back to Birmingham for Gladina. Has Matthew taken her advice to heart or put it on the back burner like everything else?
Hi, Matthew.
Hello.
Gosh, it's a bit different. It's quiet in here.
It's a lot quieter around here these days. Take your coat off and I'll tell you why.
Well, Matthew, it's been a little bit of time since I was here, and the last time I was here you were running around like the proverbial headless chicken. And when I left, there was a few strategies I left you with, so how's it been going?
Well, I think the one that was going to be hardest for me was saying no. But actually that's one of the ones that I've found the easiest. I've started to look at my daily workload, I've started to look at the plans and the tasks for the coming week and thought, which of this should I be doing? And if it's something I shouldn't be doing, then I've thought, which of my team of managers can I actually delegate this to? I think the hardest thing was the task to go away and talk to them about which bits of my job I could get them to be doing. Because I actually went away and asked for some feedback from them. And so some of the answers were quite difficult, but the bits that I concentrated on are actually the bits that I disagreed most with, because I think that's probably where my blind spot is. So I've concentrated on my blind spots and begun to share responsibility with them. I certainly feel that I'm no longer the blockage in the decision-making process. The support services are getting more praise for jobs that are better planned. Our planning's more comprehensive now. We're certainly ahead of the game much more of the time than we have been previously, because I've involved them and I'm now working to their strengths, and I'm using those to combat my own weaknesses, which is working quite well.
That sounds fabulous, because that really incorporates the three things that I left you with. One was the delegation, which you're talking about now. The other were the one-to-ones, when you've had those, and talking to people to find out from them the things that you could perhaps help them with and they could help you with. And the other one was saying no, and that sounds as if that one particularly was the easiest of them all, although, you didn't think it was going to be that way.
We found quite an easy way of doing it within the office that we share here, and that was actually locking the door at times when we've got a critical deadline to meet. As long as we post a notice on the door and let people know, please come back in an hour, then we know we've got an hour of undisturbed working time to actually concentrate on something.
So it sounds to me like what you've done there is what we'd call a workable compromise. That is to say that you are taking control of a situation. In other words, there are times when you actually do sometimes have to lock a door or make yourself scarce. You've negotiated it with other people so that as a team you can actually use the time productively, but not so much so that it frustrates other people.
Yeah, I've also changed my own mental deadlines on delegation as well. So I'm trying to work now a week ahead of where I was previously setting deadlines to give much more time for planning, much more time for them then to come back to me and to ask me, hey Matthew, I need to check this detail or that detail. And you know, we've had some real notable successes. The school's presentation evening was planned a long way in advance. I've delegated all the jobs, and it meant that I could then go into actually hosting the presentation evening and standing up on the stage at 7 o'clock that night with a calm, cool head, rather than running up onto the stage like some sort of lunatic in the vain hope that it would all hang together somehow.
Well, it sounds, Matthew, as if you've taken on board those ideas and now it's a case of consolidating them, but also, as you get the benefit of those, not then perhaps, you know, allowing yourself to run away with doing too many hours?
Well, that has been the temptation, because one of the things I have found, if I'm honest, is that actually my workload is now increasing in terms of hours, because I'm now able to pick up the stuff that focuses my attention for a long time period. Then I find myself looking up at the clock and thinking, it's getting on for 5:30, 5:45, I really need to get home and see the kids. I think I'm probably doing between 50, 55 hours a week. Last week I think it was almost up to 60 hours. We'll have to see whether that comes down.
Well, my guess is, Matthew, it won't if you don't take control of it again. I think you need to maybe be pacing yourself more on those projects. So it may be that what you need to do is to actually set yourself what I would consider a reasonable number of hours a week, and actually then look at how you pace yourself within that. And if a project takes a bit longer, it takes a bit longer, but it's better to take longer than have you burn out.
That's quite a good idea. If I know that I've actually got a reasonable amount of hours, I've set aside 10 hours to do this project. You know, I'm 5 hours in, therefore I need to be 50% of the way through the project, rather than concentrating on providing absolutely exemplary work. I think sometimes I need to remind myself that good enough is okay. I mean, clearly there are some things that need to be excellent, but I think I'm probably sensible enough to know which of those are.
I think so, Matthew. Well, Matthew, it's been a pleasure. And you never know, I might pop in again just to see how quiet it can really get round here. But anyway, good luck with it all.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I think by taking part in the programme, I've achieved what I wanted to achieve. I think it's really necessary for all people who work in schools to carve out that time to evaluate their work-life balance. All of us work really, really hard. All of us are passionate about what we do. But we actually put ourselves and our own needs to the bottom of the pile. For me, it wasn't just about saying, I'm overworked, I'm going to do less. It was about saying, okay, how many hours am I doing? And could I actually be doing more or being more productive during them?